Hey everyone, welcome back to Yulan's channel. Today we'll be talking about last subunit of Unit 4 about learning, and today we'll be talking about social and cognitive factors in learning, and we'll be focusing on modeling, which is like observational learning a bit more. So this is the last main type of learning. So if you're interested, just keep watching. And also there are the first two types of learning are introduced in our previous video, so please watch those videos too. Modeling is a term in AP psychology that defines itself. We learn behaviors by observing others and imitate others' behaviors. Put another way, we imitate or model those behaviors through our perception of others. We might observe a person walk, talk, or do something really interesting in a particular way, and then find ourselves doing the same behavior even when it was not explicitly learned. So there's a famous experiment by Albert Bandura called Bobo doll experiment, and I think I mentioned this in our previous videos too. So basically what this experiment did was Bandura let the children who observed in an adult being aggressive with an inflatable toy were more likely to show aggressive behaviors later on, compared to those who didn't observe aggressive behavior. Successful observational learning has four processes. First is attention. You need to concentrate on the action taking place, and the retention. You need to able to recall the observed action to imitate it. And then we have reproduction. It must have the physical and mental capability to complete the activity to imitate it. And finally, we have motivation, and you must have a perceived incentive to imitate and complete the behavior. And also, some psychologists propose the concept of mirror neurons, and this is located in the frontal lobe that some researchers believe are responsible for observational learning. With these, the brain fires the same way as the person we're mirroring or watching. Isn't that cool? And then we have pro-social behavior. It's what it sounds like, positive, helpful behavior. Modeling good behavior is seen everywhere, especially with parenting. Many parents try to avoid cursing in front of their kids or avoid looking or sounding aggressive, therefore modeling good behavior. On the other hand, antisocial modeling is the opposite of pro-social behavior, and a child may view aggressive or angry behaviors and mirror them, which they think is a good way to imitate others. So yeah, it's really unbeneficial. So there are some different ways of behavioral modification. The first one is unshaping negative behavior through punishment. If a child develops negative behavior patterns through antisocial modeling, a parent or authority figure, such as a teacher, may try using one of few broadly defined behavior shaping techniques. Punishments are a way to unshape, if you will, bad behavior patterns. Punishments can be any consequence for a bad behavior to decrease undesired behavior. There are two categories of punishments: positive punishments and negative punishments. Positive punishments occur when an unwanted consequence is given for negative behavior. For instance, this could be the use of speeding tickets. If Dan is caught speeding and receives a ticket, he is less likely to speed in the future. The positive punishment in this case is the ticket itself. Whereas negative punishment occur when a desired item or opportunity is removed as a result of bad behavior. An example would be phone restrictions. If 17-year-old Mira comes home after curfew and her dad takes away her phone as a consequence, Sarah is less likely to miss curfew in the future. So in this case, Mira lost a phone, and that's the negative side. And they'll have reshaping good behavior through reinforcement. Once bad behavior patterns have unshaped through punishments, good behavior should be promoted through reinforcement. Similar to punishments, they are both negative and positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is when a desirable stimulus is added as a result of good behavior. For example, this will be praising a child for completing the homework. The positive behavior is completing the homework, and the reinforcement will be the praise. Following being praised, the child is more likely to complete their homework in the future as well. On the other hand, negative reinforcement is when an undesirable stimulus is removed as a result of good behavior. For instance, when getting in a car, if you start the car before you buckle your seatbelt, an alarm will chirp. When the seat belts are buckled, the alarm stops chirping. The good behavior in this situation is buckling the seat belt, which is reinforced by the alarm turning off. And then we have latent learning. It means that learning becomes obvious only when reinforcement is given for a desired behavior. This learning was evidenced by Edward Tolman's experiment. 3 groups of rats ran mazes. The first group was given a reinforcement reward upon finishing running the maze, and performance increased steadily. The second group was never given reinforcement, so performance was improved only slightly. Lastly, the third group was the first given no reinforcement, and the result was very similar to the second group. However, after a while, the rats were given a reward. The performance improved drastically. This showed that the rats, even without the reward, did in fact learn the maze through a mental representation or cognitive map, which we mentioned in our last video, but felt no need to run it quickly because there's no actually pressure or like anything that motivates them to do so. So they have no reason to actually run it quickly. Our second last type is abstract learning, which involves understanding concepts rather than simply doing something like pressing a bar. Researchers trained the pigeons to pack pictures they had never seen before if those pictures contained a chair. In another study, pigeons were trained to pack pictures that contained a particular shape and rewarded them. And finally, we have insight learning. This is when you suddenly realize how to solve a problem. For instance, I'm sure that you have had a moment where you suddenly could think of a solution to a math problem on your test after gunning on it for a while. Wolfgang Kohler looked at this and argued that learning occurs with insights, rather than conditioning and connections. In one study, bananas were tied to a ceiling and boxes were scattered throughout the room. The chimpanzees were put in a room where they would need to stack the boxes on top of each other in order to reach the bananas. The chimpanzees spent their time unproductively, jumping, running around, or just getting upset, until all of a sudden they would stack the boxes, climb up, and reach the bananas. Kohler argued that without cognitive insight, the chimpanzees would have never been able to solve the problem, which is super interesting. So that's it our video today. Thank you for listening, and I'll try to produce more high quality videos and more engaging content for our audience, for my subscribers, and thank you for listening.